Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CHAPS Annual Candlelight Vigil. I'm honored to be here tonight for this very special evening. My name's Lynn McCumber, and I'm the Executive Director here at CHAPS. First, I want to thank all of you who braved this terrible rainy night to come and join us in person. And I would also like to thank the many people that hopefully will be watching this online and on TV. Thank you, Armstrong Cable, for being here to video so we can share this to so many more in the future. Most importantly, I want to thank our speakers. Our speakers truly represent the spirit of our vigil. They are here to proudly and bravely share their stories of struggles and pain and of determination, perseverance, and strength. They're beautiful and inspiring examples of resilience and recovery. It's my hope that you will leave here this evening sharing their knowledge that recovery, whatever that means for each individual, is indeed possible. It's now my honor to introduce our first speaker. I'd like to introduce two honored guests, Commissioner Eric Henry and Commissioner Chris Seeley. And I'd like to ask Commissioner Chris Seeley to come up and present a proclamation. We so truly appreciate the support the county and commissioners give CHAPS in fulfilling their mission every day.
Thank
Chris?
you. Thank you very much, Lynn. I appreciate the kind words, and on behalf of my colleagues, Commissioner Henry, who's joining us tonight, and Commissioner Schell, who is not able to attend this evening, but sends his regards. On behalf of the County of Crawford and its staff, both human services and otherwise, we cannot thank you enough, both to the staff and volunteers here at CHAPS and so many programs like yours around Crawford County. The fragility of the human spirit is something that we all experience, and it's only through the support of our friends, both volunteer and staff here at CHAPS and all across mental health and social service agencies in Crawford County, that we can pull together and move forward as friends and loved ones and make for a successful county. So truly the honor is mine to be here, and it's a privilege to speak with you tonight. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, whereas mental health is critical for our well-being and vitality, as well as that of our families, communities, and businesses, and whereas the President's new Freedom Commission declared that mental disorders and mental health problems affect people of all backgrounds and of all stages of life, and no one is immune. And whereas the World Health Organization found that mental illnesses rank first in terms of causing disability in the United States, and collectively are the most prevalent health problem in America today, more common than cancer, lung, and heart disease combined. And whereas 1 in 10 children has a serious mental health disorder that, if left untreated, can lead to school failure, physical illness, substance abuse, and even suicide. And whereas mental health disorders such as schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety disorders are real, common, and treatable illnesses, and whereas with early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives, and whereas Crawford County has made a commitment to community-based systems of mental health care for all residents, therefore the Crawford County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim October 23rd through October 29th, 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Week in Crawford County. As the county commissioners, we also encourage all Crawford County residents to educate themselves and others about mental health conditions, treatment options, and the many available resources. Challenge stigma by speaking respectfully and inclusively about mental health. Seek help if they are struggling with their mental health and encourage others to do the same. Support the organizations that provide mental health services and advocacy. And lastly, but not least, create safe and supportive environments for open conversations about mental health. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate the invitation this evening.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, I get this.
Oh, you get that?
Thank
All
you
right,
so
and I'm going to,
Okay.
you got to get that away from me. I'll keep it all night.
Thank you so much, Chris, Commissioner Seeley. I have to say, he had a real gift. Whether we listen to him sing or talk, it's a real joy to hear him speak. What a voice and a heart. I'd like to now just recognize and thank the two people that really made this evening happen. It just doesn't happen. It takes a really lot of work, and that is Kate Britton and Denise Pasilla. Lots of other people helped, but they really, thank you. And now it is my honor to introduce Denise Pasilla, who's going to be our Mistress of Ceremonies for the evening. Denise is our Community Education and Outreach Coordinator, so she's involved with lots of support groups and community outreach in many ways. So Denise, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you, Lynn. It's such a blessing to be here, a part of this evening tonight. It's been a wonderful year, this past year, watching everyone grow. Mental health is so important. Our brains are wired for connection, but trauma rewires our brains for protection. That's why healthy relationships are so difficult for wounded people. They need to have a sense of belonging, a sense of community. I'm so grateful that we are a part of a great community of support that works together to bring light and connection to others. I see a lot of agencies here. There's a lot of agencies that we pair up with CHAPS that mean so much and make this community just beyond beyond words. So we are also thankful for our next speaker. We're thankful to be partners with her. She's from Crawford County Human Services, Laura Singo. She's a great supporter and partner to CHAPS and a wonderful advocate to the people that she serves as a blended case manager. Laura Singo, I'm sorry.
So I apologize for reading. I was going to try to get through it without doing that, but then I was writing it, and I'm like, I really like this, so I don't want to miss anything. And once I get down through here, you'll realize it's probably the only way I'm going to make it through it also. So it says, I always say everybody has ups and downs. Everybody has problems. Everybody has issues, and if they say they don't, they're lying. How many times have you heard me say that, Martha? Not one of us has had a day that we've gone through, or that we've had a super bad day, or things that didn't go right or fallen apart. Maybe you have a black sheep in the family, those people, the ones that nobody wants to be around, wants to talk about, or talks about all the time. Everybody's had a bad breakup, a death to somebody very close to you, been touched in some way by someone close to you with mental health, or drug and alcohol conditions. It could have been you, it could have been a friend, someone in your biological family, or your chosen family. But we've all had some sort of experiences and issues with those things. We all have problems, we all have emotions, and we're all human. So to tie this all in with the theme tonight of the ocean and waves, sometimes we get caught up in rip currents, and we figure it out on our own. Sometimes we've had training ahead of time and we know how to respond and use our everybody, coping skills. And we make it out relatively safe. Sometimes we ask for help, sometimes help finds us and we survive. Unfortunately, not all of us make it and some of us drown. Not one of us is immune or has a magic raft that can float and keep us all from all that life throws at us, and even lifeguards drown. To be honest, I found myself in a position and I had some difficulties myself with keeping my head up. I had a professional say, depression, you're not depressed, you seem fine. And then they say, sometimes I get depressed and sad and I don't want to get out of bed, but I just tell myself, I just need to do it. Or pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go and do it. And I thought to myself, you're clueless. You have no idea what you're talking about. That isn't depression, that's sad. And how dare they think that they know how somebody else is feeling. Or what they've gone through. It's infuriating, it's demeaning, and they just brush you off. Then I began to think about my job and those I've worked with, and if I've ever put them in a position to fill it. So think of this when you're dealing with others. Unless you grew up the same exact way, you had the same exact education, you had the same exact supports, walked the same exact path, and the same exact everything, and we all know exact is impossible. There's no way to know somebody else's pain or somebody else's story. So sometimes the difference in drowning is our supports, our feeling safe, being heard, knowing where to turn, where to go, or who to trust. This could be your family, friends, teachers, coaches, or agencies like CHAPS, Crawford County Human Services, Women's Services, St. James Haven, Center for Family Services, and you could go on and on. Unfortunately, there's too many to mention, and not one is less important of others in the community. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to recite all of them. So we all have experiences, we all have setbacks, difficulty situations that we deal with, or things we wish we could take back. So if we all can remember, none of us are immune. Maybe you're the one that must consistently take care of that black sheep, clean up the mess. Maybe you are that black sheep looking for a break, someone to give you that chance or throw you a lifeline to keep your head up above the water and from drowning. Not one of us has a magic raft to keep us afloat. We are all just one traumatic event, poor decision, weak moment away from being that black sheep or drowning ourselves. And even lifeguards drown. Next.
Thank you, Laura. That's a good reminder that not to judge others' pain less than our own. Being compassionate and having empathy goes a long ways. Our next speaker is actively in the community, working with addiction and recovery, routinely visits the stepping stones in inpatient mental health. He is a chaplain at Meadville Medical Center, and we are thankful for him to be here tonight. Dustin Heath.
Thank you very much. Is this one for the... That's just for you, and this is for you all. Can you all hear me pretty good without it? Okay. So I get a little bit mobile when I get animated, and so I'll stay here though for y'all at home. My name is the most holy Reverend Heath, who has never made a mistake in his life and is perfect in every way. I'm just great, right? Okay, no, obviously not. That's not the case. We just heard about how that's not possible, and I certainly believe that. I was reminded of that. No, so that's not quite true, is it? So maybe my name is Major Depressive Disorder. Well, that's quite a wave. But that's not really true either, is it? That might be something I have. That might be something some people that are fantastically much smarter than I am have told me about myself to help me, but that's not who I am. It's something that I work with while still working with people that I care about, like you, and like you, and like you. And so really, it's probably somewhere in the middle there in the wave of life, of every day, that I'm chappy most days, really. And I could be maybe your chaplain at times if I'm roaming the hospital and you just need a minute. You may not be particularly religious at all, and you still just need a minute with someone to talk to. And please know that I am at your service to listen anytime. I took a totally different approach to tonight, and I didn't write a single thing down. So I'm grateful to have done that because I get to stay in connection with you. But forgive my sleepless stutter if that shows up. I've developed that since my baby, who's cooing in the background back there. It's just a new thing that I sometimes have. So bear with me, if you would. I wanted to talk a little bit about hope because I think that's why we're here. Resiliency, the thing that stands out to me about resiliency is the adaptation to the things that we've experienced that were beyond our control, maybe, that we didn't have a say in or a vote in that happened. It's the adaptation to that that really we seem to shine. I think you shine. I think I shine. Our ability to adapt to whatever those things are. And it always excites me when people do adapt because I may be a man of faith and on good days, devout man of faith. On bad days, just a grumpy clergy. Just human, just who needs more coffee. But we are broken. People are broken. And so it's hard to not talk about Viktor Frankl for me, who is sort of this creator of logotherapy. I don't know that many counselors will talk about logotherapy because it's not found its roots in data-based evidence. I wouldn't call it CBT or REBT, but there are some components that are like, well, wait, that sounds a little bit like it. And he talks about 3 things that you need to help you find meaning in this life. The first, I think, happens in community together. That is courage. The first way to find meaning is courage in the face of unavoidable suffering. That can happen when communities are together. I don't know that there's a prescription for something that you must do in that. It's your beingness. It's your existence and your willingness to be with someone else in togetherness and in relationship that helps us move up. Your counselors might say things like the vagus nerve, right? Our ability to empathize with each other happens in community, and that creates, in a way, courage. You're not in this alone. None of us are. though it might feel that way sometimes. The second also happens in community, and that is, I think, he talks about the reception of maybe unconditional positive regard. That's another council word. I might just say love, right? Unfettered love. And I think primarily the reception of it. We need, as humans, people that love us with all of what we are. Super grumpy pastor and pretty good at listening, both, at either end of the wave. You need to feel loved in order to find meaning. And I think when we receive that love, we can sort of love back. Polyvagal theory, okay, blah, 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 yeah, talks a little bit about how our bodies, we're not even, if we're in fight or flight, I don't have the capacity to do it. I gotta be loved to climb the ladder to love you. So the lifeguard, yeah, needs a life vest too. We need each other. Okay, I'm trying to be conscious of my time here. That's what happens when you don't have a script. You have no idea what time it is. We said courage in the face of unavoidable suffering. We said the reception of love and unfettered love. Oh, and the last, the third thing is meaningful vocation. That's not, I punched in at my 9 to 5 and I love my job. It certainly can be. I think people that work in CHAPS and around communities, that's how they ended up here. Lynn believes in what she does, and others do too. Our CRSs do. Like, you believe in what you do, and that's why you do it. It's a natural outpouring. Not all of us have that. Some of us, I'm not a welder, but if I was, I would love the art form, but I would also want something else to do it. And maybe, tell you what, I used to detail boats. I was covered in chemicals that melted my own clothing. I did not love that. It was not a vocation that I thought very highly of, but it was for a school bill to become a pastor. And that was a bigger thing. I think many of us have that bigger thing that installs meaning in our lives. It has to be something that you do. I think some examples of that include art. They include, oh my gosh, service, the 12th step kind of offering to communities. But I think maybe I'll close, as I'm sure I've gone over at this point. I would wind down with the idea of art as something that we do and find meaning in. There's a philosophy, predominantly, I know it through a Japanese artist. His name is Makoto Fujimura. And if you've heard me talk before, you were like, oh yeah, I knew he'd talk about that, like obviously. The art form in the philosophy is called kintsugi, and maybe some of you have practiced that art form before. And it's the idea of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. So when it's done by me, it looks, frankly terrible. When it's done by a professional kintsugi artist, the brokenness is highlighted. Something has filled the brokenness with beauty and meaning. Gold is rich. It's a great material. It's valuable. And what was once a teapot that was meant to have noon tea, I don't know, we don't do that. What was once a coffee cup for me to binge drink caffeine, that's what I do, it was strictly for utility's sake. It is now something completely transformed. The scars that item now has have been highlighted, and it's been filled with value, and you can't or shouldn't use it as something just for utility's sake anymore. It's now valuable for what it is. It's always been that way. You are valuable for who you are. And the cracks and the brokenness that have happened, are happening to you, it is possible to look back at them and wonder, ask, not prescribe. You don't need to make evil things good. You don't have to do that. Some bad things are bad. That's okay to say. You don't need to paint a silver lining over every dark cloud. Some dark clouds are dark clouds, and you need to name them as such. But it is possible to look backwards and say, what seeds are growing in the cracks of that brokenness? Has any goodness come from that? Have I learned anything? Maybe I have. How am I more compassionate to people that are depressed, like me? How have I become more aware and sensitive of how aloof I am when I care about people? These are all good things. And so with that, I'm going to leave, hopefully, the lion's share of time to our speakers tonight. But I invite you to consider those ways of finding meaning in this life. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. And may God's grace find you. Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have some speakers that are going to share their story. They're very special, very brave to be here. We are very thankful for their bravery. Our first speaker is a story of never giving up. Learning recovery is about progress, not perfection. Shining a light on possibilities that keep more possibilities and more possibilities coming. She's one of CHAPS employees. She works our CHIP program, and she's a light here. So I am going to introduce Michelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I never got this pretty fancy. Hi, my name is Michelle Tanner. I am 51 years old. I have been clean and sober for 3.5 years this time. Thank you. Thank you. It's funny that the chaplain spoke about hope. Sometimes, a lot of times, when you're in the grip of your addiction, it's very difficult to see hope. You don't see it, you can't imagine it, and you definitely don't want to hear about it. Hope is for people that have already went to detox and they're at meetings and they're okay now. And I know when I was on the streets of Cleveland, like literally on the streets of Cleveland, living in a gutter or a trap house, I didn't have any hope, and no one could provide that. I couldn't see it. So I want to talk tonight about possibilities. And possibilities, to me, are what create hope. There are so many possibilities in our community, and a lot of them are sitting in this room. And a lot of people that use, that are hopeless, broken, lost, don't know about these possibilities. I know I sure didn't. Our community, along with a lot of other communities around the world, provide religious possibilities, support groups, non-religious support groups, NA, AA, Celebrate Recovery. There are hotlines, there are online meetings, there are telephone lines that you can call in and actually speak to someone when you are in crisis and remain completely anonymous. You don't need to tell anyone your name, just simply tell them what is bothering you. And I think that a lot of our community members that are struggling don't know about these possibilities. So awareness has been something that I like to work on in my recovery because I had none, zero. I knew what AA was and I knew what NA was, and that was about the extent of starting my journey and remaining clean and sober. I know a lot of us that use and that have addiction issues, mental health issues, such as myself. Just to share a little bit about me personally, I am an IV drug user. I have had Hep C. I have lived in the streets. I have been unemployable. I have lost custody of my children. I have been raped. I have been sexually abused. Tonight, as I gathered my things to come in, I was like, I'm a trinket person. Like, if I go to bingo, I bring like 10 fuzzy things and 18 pictures of my children and set myself up. And so I always bring something that's meaningful. And it was actually kind of sad. What I gathered tonight was a bracelet that my husband bought me. He's passed away. I brought a ring that my sister gave me. She passed away. I brought a small picture of my father. He passed away. And I brought a little bracelet that my very best friend in the whole world gave me. And he passed away. All from overdoses. So I come to you tonight asking that you reach out, have compassion. If you have compassion, have more compassion. We struggle. We cry, we beg, we steal, but we're human. I don't do any of those things when I'm clean and sober. I'm a good person. Well, a pretty good person. I like to think so anyway. I have the forgiveness in a relationship with my children today, and it's from possibilities. My children utilize possibilities. There are also possibilities for families and loved ones that are affected by their loved ones' drug and alcohol addiction and mental health. There are possibilities for you guys too. There are support groups. There are phone lines. There are online meetings. There's just about everything for the addict, the alcoholic, the person with an addiction, as there is for the loved ones of those that are unfortunately destroyed and grieving and or struggling with their loved one's addiction. So I beg of you, all of you, as you go out, do not look at people with their addiction. Imagine the possibilities that they could be once they got some treatment, got some recovery, got some compassion. And with that, I pass. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was awesome.
Aw,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Denise. I gotta grab my glasses.
Our next speaker is courageous, if anything else. That's the word I have for her, courageous. A story of hope and resilience. Sharing her experience, strength, and hope. She's full of gratitude and kindness, giving inspiration to all. Thank you for your courage to come and share with us tonight, Martha.
Hi, everyone. Oh, here we go. Hello, everyone. I hope you all doing good tonight. Feeling good? It's a beautiful night for this. I'm going to read off my papers because that's the way it was kind of insinuated that I do. Good evening. My name is Martha, and I join you this evening to share my story. I was born in Pittsburgh, but grew up in the Titusville area with my mother and younger brother. At the age of 5, my mother made the decision to leave my father. Sadly, one of the most vivid memories is the day we left our home in Pittsburgh. My mother put us in a car with a man I did not know, who was soon to be my mom's new husband. My little brother and I were in the back seat watching as my father ran beside the car, begging my mother not to leave him. I still got to see my dad, but mostly only on vacations as he remained living in the Pittsburgh area. Between the ages of 5 and 10, I suffered terrible abuse. As a child, I completely blocked those traumatic events out of my mind. At the age of 12, I began drinking alcohol as a coping mechanism and to numb the pain of the past along with my circumstances at the time. My home life was less than perfect. Many of my family members struggled with addiction, and the dysfunction and instability just felt normal. At 18, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. My mother told me that the day I was diagnosed was the worst day of her life, which cut deeply because her worst day was part of who I am. I didn't choose to have a mental illness, yet I felt like I had disappointed her. I was often told by my family, doctors, and therapists that I was delusional or that I just had a vivid and wild imagination. For years, I questioned everything in my life, even my own truths. My relationship with my mother remained toxic for the next 20 years. Sadly, my father passed away from cancer that same year. I missed him terribly and struggled to deal with the loss, despite not being able to see him often. I loved him very much. At 19, I was able to get sober for a period of time. I met the father of my children at an NA meeting, and we fell in love. 2 years later, I became pregnant with my daughter, Sophia. She was the brightest light in my life. Excuse me. You. Oh my goodness. Okay. No matter what else happened, I take pride in knowing I raised her with love. When I was 26, I gave birth to my son, Carl. He was incredibly smart and full of sunshine. I'm proud to say I raised 2 amazing independent children. I struggled with postpartum depression. It says depression here, but with psychosis, it was psychosis. I suffered with severe postpartum psychosis after the birth of my son. It was debilitating and led to my first day at Warren State Hospital. You want to see somebody mannequin out of it? Google hormones. Yeah. It was wild. I was like, yeah. I have never ever, I don't even understand how that could happen to me. You think about that stuff, you're like, whoa. As I turned 30, I began to struggle with flashbacks of the abuse I endured as a young girl. I didn't even know how to begin to process these disturbing memories, so I tried to keep pushing forward. 2 years later, my beloved brother took his own life, and I completely broke down. After his death, people seemed to pull away. I believe they didn't know how to approach me in my grief, and I felt completely abandoned. It's nothing like something real bad to happen to you to see who your real friends are. I will tell you that. I've lost a lot of friends because everything was happening, and, you know, it's hard to know what to say with somebody when they're in grief. But I had some good friends that I lost over that. My addiction became worse and I was spiraling out of control. I ended up in hospitals and mental health institutions and was eventually sent back to Warren State Hospital. When I first arrived back at Warren for the second time, I was terrified. I was suffering from delusions and addictive behaviors. However, this hospital stay would allow me to meet people who would help change my life. You know, a place like Warren State Hospital, you're going to meet people that you couldn't even imagine ever existing. Wow, that person really exists, and that's how they are, and that's really cool. You know, I met some people, I tell you. When I was 34, my mother wound up being diagnosed with cancer. Throughout her battle, we were able to reconnect and find forgiveness for each other. While her death was painful, I was thankful that we were able to both be sober at the time, heal our relationship, and express our love for each other. My stepfather became the rock of my family. He did his best to keep. This is not the first one, the third stepfather. My mother. My stepfather became the rock of our family. He did his best to keep our family together despite the long history of dysfunction and damaged relationships that existed. I was grateful for him and his strength during very difficult times. Goodness gracious. I should have just came up here and winged it. This is just embarrassing. What it is. Yeah. All right. Things started to look up for me when I started working with a DBT therapist and a drug and alcohol counselor who helped me find stability and hope. I was finally open to learning the skills to manage my mental illness and addiction. I spent 3 long years at Warren State Hospital. When it came time for me to leave, I was scared, but I felt ready. I moved into Renewed Life Haven, a personal care home where I continued focusing on my wellness, healing, and building strength. Later, I moved into a transitional living home through a program called Seeds. The staff and residents there helped me rediscover the goodness in people. By getting to know them and allowing them to get to know me, I began to see hope and kindness again. These programs, hand in hand, it's where they originate from. And I believe Hand in Hand has its 25th anniversary coming up or something like that. That program saved my life. And Darla, yeah, I mean, that just saved my life. They gave me hope. I was finally taking care of me and making my wellness a priority. That's when I decided I didn't want to be angry anymore. I didn't want to be the person who was defined by the pain of my past. I wanted to live differently with compassion, gratitude, and love. Today I'm living in my own apartment, which seemed like it would never be almost impossible a few years ago. I continue to access my support systems, participate in services, meet with my beloved VCM, Laura, and peer support, Trina, awesome, and also attend my mental health appointments. It took me a long time to realize that it is okay to ask for and accept help. I enjoy seeing my friends as often as we can get together. All these things are pieces of the puzzle that keep me well. I know that there will always be good days and bad days and ups and downs in life, like there are for all of us, but our power lies in how we react to those things. For many years, I couldn't see a light beyond my mental health and addiction issues. I was stuck in a vicious cycle that seemed unbreakable. But here I am standing before you tonight. I'm no longer ashamed of my past because it does not define me. I want my story to give hope and strength to others who are fighting their own battles with mental health, addiction, and trauma. Take it from me, there is a light on the other side of the darkness. Don't give up on yourself because you are worth fighting for. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you this evening.
Okay, that leads us to our last speaker. Her story is one of transformation and recovery from surviving to thriving. And it's a reminder that recovery is not only possible, but it can lead to a life filled with meaning and servicing to others. Once a client at CHAPS, Shashaya now works with the Youth Housing and Family Navigator program, helping others find stability and hope. Please join me in welcoming Shashaya as she shares her journey of recovery.
Thank you, Denise. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shashaya, and I'm in recovery with my mental health and substance abuse. For 15 years, my life was consumed by substance abuse and untreated mental health challenges. Those years were filled with chaos, pain, and hopelessness. I thought that was all life had to offer me and all I ever deserved. I didn't believe recovery was possible for me. For a long time, I refused therapy and medication. I didn't think I needed help, or maybe I was just afraid of what it would mean to face my own self. But after finally getting clean, I started to see that recovery was about more than just putting the drugs down. It was about rebuilding myself from the inside out. Slowly, I began to take steps towards healing. I was a participant here at CHAPS. I was working with Trina Andrews. She continually encouraged me to heal by going to therapy. I would still refuse. I made excuses. But one day, she did, here and there, share some of her stories with me. And then I understood it didn't make me any less than someone else who was well educated and was a professional. So I started therapy, and I began to understand my mental health, my emotions, and the reasons behind my addiction. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, facing myself. But it was worth every tear and every bit of effort. I found stability by getting a steady job, which gave me a sense of responsibility and self-worth. Around the same time, I started attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings. At first, I just sat and listened, but soon I began to participate, to share, and connect with people who truly understood what I had been through. Oh. NA became a huge part of my recovery and is still a huge part of my recovery. I took on service positions, showed up consistently, and started giving back what was freely given to me. Those connections, that sense of community and purpose is what keeps me grounded today and continuously growing. About a year into my recovery, something incredible happened. I found a job that didn't just pay the bills, but gave me a deeper sense of purpose. And that job I absolutely love is here at CHAPS. It's just not about the work I do, but about being able to use my experience to help others and to be a living example that recovery is possible. Today, my life is stable, fulfilling, and real. I'm no longer just surviving, I'm living. If there's one message I want to leave you with, it's this: recovery is possible. No matter how long you've been lost, how deep that pain runs, or how hopeless things feel, you find your way back. It takes time, connection, and willingness, but most of all, it takes believing that you are worth it. Thank you for letting me share my story.
Please show yourself grace and kindness always. Remember to believe in yourself. Now we're going to do the candlelight ceremony, and the slideshow is what we came for. Thank you. I don't know if I can read in the dark though. So. Okay. Thank you all that came to share us with our candlelight vigil with us tonight. There's plenty of information on the table over here about CHAPS and what we do, paired with other communities or with other agencies in the community. We are so grateful to pair up with all the resources in this community. In closing words, I'd like to just say, let us write compassion and kindness in permanent marker on our hearts. Then even if our ships get off course and we find ourselves in the ocean of vulnerability, it will serve as a lighthouse to guide us back to safe harbor. Please show yourself grace and kindness always. Thank you to all that came tonight and joined us. What we do as a community makes a difference. Please stay tonight and for community and cookies, fellowship. Thank you very much.